Monsieur Lettieri, a conspicuous man in St. Sampson's, was a redoubtable sailor. He had been a cabin boy, seaman, topmasterman, second mate, pilot and a captain. Now he was a ship-owner. No man compared with him for knowledge of the sea. In foul weather he would walk the beach, scanning the horizon. "What have we yonder?" he would say. "Some vessel in trouble?" He would jump into a boat, call together 2 or 3 strong fellows, or did without them if needs be, cast off, take up the oars, and plunge into the storm to face all dangers. Then, far off, amidst the rain and lightning, drenched with water, he could sometimes be seen standing tall in his boat like a lion with a foaming mane. Often he would spend a whole day amid the waves, the hail and the wind, making his way to the sides of foundering vessels in the storm, rescuing men and merchandise. Then in the evening he would go home and knit a pair of stockings. Clubin had been absent from the Jean Auberge all the evening of Tuesday. On the Wednesday night he was absent again. In the dusk of that evening 2 strangers stopped in front of La Jacquessade. One of them knocked at the window. The door of the shop opened and they entered. The woman with the wooden leg met them with a smile she reserved for respectable citizens. There was a candle on the table. In fact, the strangers were respectable citizens. The one who had knocked said, "Good day, madame. I have come about you-know-what." The woman with the wooden leg smiled again and went out by the back door. A moment afterwards the back door opened again, and a man stood in the doorway. He wore a cap and a smock. It was easy to see the shape of something bulky under his smock. He had bits of old straw in his clothes, and looked as if he had just woken up. He appeared puzzled, but cunning. He said, "Are you the gunsmith?" The stranger who had tapped at the window replied, "Yes, are you the man from Paris?" "Name of a redskin, yes." "Let me see it." The man reached under his smock and revealed a weapon rarely seen at that time in Europe. It was a revolver. The weapon was new and bright. The 2 strangers examined it. The one who seemed to know the house, and whom the man in the smock had called the gunsmith, tried the mechanism. He passed the weapon to the other, who kept his back turned. The gunsmith continued, "How much?" The man in the smock replied, "I've just brought it from America." It is only when a task is fully embarked upon that its difficulties and perils become clear. Gilliatt began to fully realize the obstacles facing him. In order to raise the engine of the Durande from the wreck with any chance of success, in order to perform the salvage in such a place and in such a season, it seemed almost necessary to be a legion of men. Gilliatt was alone. A complete workshop of carpenters' and engineers' tools was needed. Gilliatt had a saw, an axe, a chisel, and a hammer. He needed a good workshop and a good shed. Gilliatt had neither. Provisions were essential, but he didn't even have a loaf of bread. However, anyone who could have watched Gilliatt working on the rocks during that first week might have been puzzled. He seemed absorbed in saving small parts of the shipwreck. He went from rock to rock, picking up whatever the sea had scattered: tatters of sailcloth, pieces of iron, shattered planking, broken yards, here a beam, here a chain, there a pulley. Still nearer, and within reach of his hand, was a horizontal fissure. It seemed probable the crab had taken refuge there, and he plunged his hand in as far as he was able and groped around in the blackness. Suddenly he felt himself seized fiercely by his arm. He was struck with indescribable horror. Some living thing, thin, rough, flat, cold, slimy, had twisted itself around his naked arm. In less than a moment, some mysterious spiral form had passed round his wrist and elbow and had reached his shoulder. A sharp point penetrated beneath his armpit. Gilliatt threw himself backward, but was unable to move. He was held fast. He seized his knife, which he still held between his teeth, and holding the knife with his free left hand, he braced himself against the rocks, desperately trying to free his right arm. But the thong holding his arm became still tighter. It was as supple as leather, as strong as steel, as cold as night. A second form, sharp, elongated and narrow, emerged from the crevice, like a reptile's tongue protruding from a rocky mouth. It seemed to lick his naked body. Then suddenly stretching out...